Implementations. We're going to talk about fact-checking modern realities of what you have to do in change management and training as it comes in relation to ERP implementations. Before we start, I want to give you a little overview of High Street as an organization, and I'm going to turn it over to Bill Smythe.
Thanks, Bill. Hi, this is Bill Smythe with High Street, and just want to give you a quick overview of who High Street is. We're formerly Enterprise Solutions Group, ESG, and we focus on helping our clients implement, upgrade, expand, and maintain their applications and their infrastructures. And we've been doing this for many years in several Oracle environments, including EDS and PeopleSoft. We've got hundreds of successful implementations underneath our belt. We started in the mid-1990s. And we have different areas of focus. One of those areas is the Financials Accounting Hub. It's a terrific tool that Oracle came out with a number of years ago. We're utilizing that for our clients over both PeopleSoft and EBS environments. The other thing we are, as you can see on the right side here, we are a platinum partner of Oracle, specialized in different areas, and we are an approved education provider. We present frequently at national and regional conferences. Oracle Open World is coming up in September. We hope to present again there this year. And more importantly, we're a certified Oracle education partner, as I mentioned earlier, and have tremendous skills around training and change management, which you'll hear a good bit about from Bill Sawyer. And the other thing, too, is we provide cloud services. So we provide managed services, hosting, and infrastructure services on top of, and to enhance the work that we do for our clients. So it's worked out very well for many of our clients. So with that, Bill, I'll turn it back over to you.
Great, thanks, Bill. Just to give you an additional follow-up to that, as an approved education provider, Oracle University can sometimes be a challenge to work with. So I'll just give you a heads up. If you ever have any of those challenges, feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy, and as an education provider with them, we can help you schedule classes and get through the maze that sometimes Oracle University throws up around that. So just a little side note. Today, what we're going to talk about is understanding the setting and the challenges and the solutions that are inherent in modern ERP system implementations. If you look at the research, what it says is about 2/3 of all ERP implementations that are at risk because of end-user adoption issues. And in fact, even of those, even post-go-live, the systems that are successfully implemented, about 75% of them, by the research, says that end-user adoption training, whatever you want to call this arena, these are the issues that continue to be serious challenges for them in terms of delivering the value that you installed the ERP system for in the first place. So that's what we're going to talk about, is the ways that you can do to maximize this. Excuse me. We're probably going to approach it a little bit differently. Okay. Everything is a matter of your attitude. I want to tell this story, and I'll give you a for instance. 2 sales guys were sent to an impoverished third world country, and they were sent by their boss, and they said, go there, look at the country, come back to us, and tell us whether or not you can sell any shoes. The first salesperson comes back, he goes, oh my goodness, they don't even wear shoes, we have absolutely no opportunity whatsoever. The second sales guy comes back and says, oh my goodness, they don't wear any shoes at all, can you imagine the opportunity we have? Okay, so everything is a matter of the perspective that you put it in, and training is especially important in all of this. You cannot remove the emotion and the feeling from training. It is an important component of how people remember things and how they encode the information that you want them to learn from the training that they've attended. So let's make sure we set your expectations going forward with this. There's no possible way that I'm going to be able to take you down every single rabbit hole that's available in this presentation. Now, you can take this in a lot of different ways. So what I've done throughout the presentation is I've given you the option at your own discretion, and I've given you markers to say, here's some additional information on your own time. Please go and explore these things, because there's no way in a 45 or 50-minute presentation I can cover all of those. Okay? So you'll see the markers throughout this, and I'll highlight the first time we see one. Here we go. Let's talk about how adults learn. Adults learn around a process that's been tagged andragogy. You may have heard the term, you may not. It's all about adult learning as opposed to pedagogy. You know, we say kids learn, okay? But adults have a basis around what they need to know. They have an experience. They're bringing a ton of this to the classroom. They're responsible for their own learning. You have to make the learning that you're talking about relevant to them, and you have to make it problem-centered, and they are internally motivated. They have their own reasons, and the closer you can tap into those reasons for them to go. So there's the first mark there. You want to learn more about that? You want to follow that rabbit hole down a little ways? Go look up at Wikipedia, go look up andragogy, and look up the name Malcolm Knowles. He was the person who tagged that particular phrase. Okay? Important to understand in enterprise training. So we did some research in 2013 for our 2013 customers. We compiled the research in 2014. We used a high-end research company to get this, and I want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. We found that with our clients, that they were given as much time as they needed to ensure a smooth, guaranteed go-live. They had as much money as they needed to ensure complete learning by all the employees, vendors, and other stakeholders, and they were given full control over the quality of the implementation software and personnel. Okay, this was the hold on. Okay, just a minute. That is a complete and utter myth. Okay, nobody, no implementation ever has those things. Okay. You are never going to have as much time as you want to resolve anything. Now, you say, wait a minute, Bill. You're talking about time, you've talked about money, you've talked about resources, okay? We're going to say you're not going to have any of those. And oh, by the way, but Bill, there's one of those footprints here. What are you talking about? Well, guess what? To save time, to create training materials, I use what's called a Creative Commons license. That image you see of that clock right there came from a Creative Commons license that I can use freely. And I got it off Flickr. So, want to know more about it? Go take a look. It's a tremendous resource for you to save time as you're creating training resources. So we said, you're never going to have enough time, you're never going to have enough money, and you're never going to experience the quality that you really want to accomplish, okay? You're going to have a balance. And if you approach training as something that you're going to continue to gripe about the fact that you don't have these things, you are never going to have these things. You're always going to be somewhere balanced in the middle, and that's one of the realities that you need to accept coming into the training world. It's not just in ERP implementations, but it's any part of the training world as well. You're not going to have these things, so accept that as a given. Okay? What this all wraps around is a process called cognitive dissonance. If you don't accept what the reality is that's staring you in the face, okay, then you've got something that's coming apart from you, and your mind is going to say this. Your mind is going to say, something's not right. Why can't I accept this? Now, what you have the potential to do is you have the potential to create what are called learning dissonances within your learners, okay? And when do you oftentimes see these? You'll oftentimes see things like, this course is very important to us as a company. Meanwhile, you're following it up with a low-quality e-learning, page down, do this because you have to kind of course, okay? Or we want to ensure that you can do your job, followed by a CAN course that never addresses what the learners actually do as a job. No one bothered to ask them. Or we deliver high-quality training materials, followed by a course binder that sits on your bookshelf and is never opened again. Well, if it's high quality, why isn't it used again? Okay? You've got to address these. Here's another one. We address stuff that's around adult learning theory, followed by nothing even approaches what andragogy is. Now, how did I come up with this list? Okay, I did some training analysis of past audiences, of past students, and knew that these are the kinds of things that we all face within the training realities. So the reality is, this is not a course. Don't think of this as a course. This is a presentation. I'm trying to inspire you to go out and learn other things and to take action. And this is why I continue to tell you this. You cannot ignore these footprints. These footprints are going to be critical components where you're going to have to take action after this presentation and go out and do this. One of the things that I would recommend is go out and look at TED. TED is Technology, Entertainment, and Design. If you haven't heard of theirs, they have an absolutely wonderful presentation available for free on their website from Nancy Duarte and Sebastian Harding, and it's on persuasion, and 2 books that are absolutely essential in helping you get better design. I absolutely love the Gar Reynolds book on presentation design. One of the stuff that absolutely sits on my bookshelf. So let's get into the specific challenges now. We've kind of set the framework, right? We've said these are foundational items up to this point, but let's actually talk about these 10 challenges. We're talking about delivery, tools, speed, software, environment, designers, SMEs, quality, cost, and results. Let's jump right in. I hear this all the time from people. I don't like going to e-learning courses. I don't learn as much from e-learning courses. I don't learn as much from webinars. I would prefer to be in a classroom. And that's a perfectly normal response. The difference is none of the data supports it. Okay? There's a great website called nosignificantdifference.org, and he has collected over, I think now, over 3,000 research studies that says there is no significant difference between the learning outcome of an e-learning course and an instructor-led course. None whatsoever. Now, the first thing that people point out is, but Bill, I've taken some absolutely horrible e-learning courses, and you're right. There are a lot of e-learning courses out there that are absolutely horrible. That has nothing to do with the technology. Bad learning design is bad learning design, and it doesn't matter. I can also tell you, because I've been in this long enough, that I've sat through some instructor-led courses that I've gone, oh my God, that is the worst waste of 5 days of my life that I have ever spent. Bad design is bad design. It is not relevant to its delivery technique. So do not think that how you deliver something matters. Get your good design down first, and that will drive everything else. What about the tools? Story. My father was a carpenter. Okay, he did that pretty much my entire life. My father did a couple of things. One, he bought tools on a regular basis. That was his job. He bought tools that enabled him to do his job quicker, better, faster, all the time. And you know what the #1 tool was he never replaced in his bag? Now, when I ask this to a live audience, I typically get things like, I don't know, maybe he never replaced his hammer or a screwdriver. No, actually, my father replaced those all the time. I remember as a young kid, my father used hammers. By the time my father retired, he was using automatic nailers, okay? All he did was he looked at tools that enabled him to deliver things faster. The only tool that stayed in his toolbox for the entire duration of his career was a tool that was outrageously expensive and he used on a rare basis. He had it because he needed it, and when he needed it, he needed it. But he never replaced it. Sure, he could have updated it, but there was no need for him. What's interesting as trainers sometimes, we're reluctant to add new tools to our tool chest, and we shouldn't, okay? We should be absolutely agnostic when it comes to tools. We should be willing to change on a heartbeat. If a new tool comes out and it makes our learners learn better, learn more efficiently, we should change to that tool instantaneously, okay? Now, we can talk about some tools. Oracle has a really nice tool called the User Productivity Kit, or UPK. You may have heard of it. Adobe has a tool called Captivate. Articulate has two tools, one called Studio, one called Storyline. One's more focused around PowerPoint presentations, one's more focused around like e-learning courses. We all use PowerPoint, Word, Snagit, a common screen capture tool. But the truth is that you should be evaluating tools on a regular basis. And here's the nice thing, at least in modern software and modern training realities, most of these tools are available on an evaluation copy. And with new subscription-based offerings, you can actually start to change your toolkit on a much more reasonable basis. So do it. What about speed? Everybody says, I never have enough time. And that actually has to be what you have to do. You have to accept reality. If you're working in the Oracle space, whether you're working with eBusiness Suite or you're working with PeopleSoft, Oracle releases regular updates. Those updates, for most of the products, come in big cycles about every 6 months. In some cases, those new cycles can be back-to-back, and you can have significant new changes to the UI, you can have significant new changes to functionality, and your users need to know about this. And you know what control you have of it? None. So you have to accept that reality, and you have to then start to adapt. What are you doing? What are you producing? Okay? And it really comes down to the last two bullets. You have to address the necessary and remove the fluff. What absolutely is essential to your presentation? Let's be fair here for a moment, okay? In terms of this presentation that you're attending today, I could say these are absolutely necessary things for you to do. And oh, by the way, I love Bill Smythe a lot, but his presentation, his slide on High Street Overview, absolute fluff. If I was looking at it from a pure learning content, okay, and I'm picking on Bill, okay, smiling as I see his face. If you're dealing with a learning audience, though, this is what you've got to face. One of my complaints about a lot of vendor courses that you can go to for 3, 4, 5 days, and you pay good money for you or your audiences to attend these courses from vendors, from Microsoft to Oracle to all sorts of courses. It's not uncommon for there to be a half a day or more of material that's marketing related, okay? Not just one slide, okay? We're talking hours of this is why you should do this sort of thing. And you know what? That turns your learners off. So be brutal about what you put into your learning materials. If you want to get faster, you're going to have to do this, and it's going to get tough, okay? So if you need to do it fast, one of the best researchers out there right now is a gentleman by the name of Dr. Will Thalheimer, okay? He has what he calls the decisive dozen. He's looked at hundreds of research reports, and he's compiled those together, and he's looked at the 12 largest factors that determine whether or not someone learns from your training, okay? And that, the first bullet there is an absolutely invaluable research report, and I encourage you to go out and pick it up from Will. Environment. One of the things that always amused me about training environments is oftentimes we say, oh, we got a sandbox, we've got this sort of thing. And if you think about it as a playground where your learners can go out and do this. But you know what's also amazing about that is sometimes when we go out to that environment, we create this, what do? We lock it down. We make sure that only a certain number of people in the company have access to it. Or we don't refresh that training environment. So it's never clean, it's never up to date, it's not a friendly place. It's like a park that no parent wants to let their child go into, okay? Or perhaps we don't even pay it any attention whatsoever. If you ask, hey, is the training environment up? No, it's not up, it's whatever, okay? You would not expect to go to a playground that's that way. Why would you expect to do that with your sandbox where you're expecting people to be able to have a safe environment for them to go out and play? So what do you have to do that? Make it open. Make it fun, accessible, and make it known. There's no reason whatsoever in a training environment for you not to say to anybody that wants to get into it, here's an open training environment open to everybody in the company. Now people say, well, yeah, but what about people that aren't in the process? You know what? Sometimes some of the best ideas and the best feedback that you're ever going to get are from people that are not part of your core implementation team and that are not seeing this thing on a daily basis. Okay? Do not lock it down. Okay? Provide it early, keep it clean and well maintained. Make it a playground where people want to come back and forth. And then watch what they do. Be that person that's sitting at the playground, be that parent that's sitting at the playground, making sure that everybody's safe, but paying attention to what they're doing because you're going to get invaluable feedback about the kinds of things that have to go into your training to make it relevant to the adults that you're talking about. Okay? We've talked and built around design. Okay? You've probably heard of ADDIE. ADDIE is the 800-pound gorilla of the learning design world, okay? It's analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. That's where it comes from, okay? I'd like you to think differently. I'd like you to think of a design called Agile. In the analogy that I use there's a show, my wife watches it, I watch it because it's absolutely fascinating to me. It's called Project Runway. They're designers. If you know anything about me, if you ever meet me, I am fashion impaired. I don't know anything at all about the world, but I'm absolutely fascinated with what they do on that show because they take a small amount of money in an incredibly short amount of time, and in that, they come up with absolutely creative solutions to design issues, and they do it on a minuscule budget, okay? And the only way for you to do the same, because remember, we've said you don't have enough time, you don't have enough resources, you don't have enough speed in this thing. So you cannot go back to the ADDIE model. You have to adapt Agile, okay? And one of the ways that you can get to an Agile model is you can start treating your subject matter experts, your SMEs, okay, differently, okay? They're no longer optional to you. You can't say, well, I just have a trainer or I have a learning designer out there and all they're going to do is when they have questions, they're going to go to that SME and they're going to say, hey, Bill, hey, Sean, what do you guys think? They're not just ask repositories. What you have to do is you have to make them junior designers. But what you also have to do is you have to make your designers junior SMEs. There has to be a common framework for understanding. Okay, and then you have to wrap this up into the fact that learning is not a single event. It is a process. You do not learn by going to a training class and that's it. And then your mind shuts off and you say, I learned everything I need to learn. You have more. Okay, want to know more about Agile? Go look at the Agile Manifesto. Okay. I've actually taken that Agile Manifesto and adapted it okay, for training purposes. And these are the 12 principles. I'll let you read through those on your own. There's no reason for me to read them to you, okay? But there is something that has to be addressed in your training. There are 3 crucial factors. These crucial factors are backed up by the research that I referred to earlier from Dr. Thalheimer. Okay? When you're dealing with technical training, like you would be doing in an enterprise resource planning implementation, whether it's HCM, supply chain, doesn't matter, okay? The first is your training must be accurate. If you have inaccurate training, your users will immediately shut down, because if it's not accurate, they will look at that and say, well, geez, if they couldn't at least get this accurate, what else is wrong with it? Can I trust my job? And think about that when you say that out loud. The students that are in your class are trusting you with their job. They're trusting you with their time because you're going to help them do their job better. And if your training's not accurate, they're going to, remember we talked about dissonance? That's a learning dissonance. That's telling them that your learning is not worth the time. So, first factor, crucial factor of technical training must be accurate. The second critical factor of technical training, it must be accurate. If you haven't figured out the third one, it must be accurate. Whatever you focus on in technical training, it is better to have, I would take a cheat sheet that is absolutely accurate and has the steps, and maybe it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but is accurate, to something that sits on my bookshelf and is pretty in color and everything else, but isn't accurate. And we've all seen those training courses. So how can you start to think differently then about this? One of the things I would encourage you to take a look at is called flipping your classroom. Okay? Flipping your classroom actually comes from an idea from West Point. You can see a TED Talk on it. Go out and look at this. But it comes out of the military academy there at West Point, and what they say is that the students come into the classroom and they've done the core work before coming to the classroom. So when they come to the classroom, they're asking very pointed and direct questions, okay? And so they're maximizing their value. But also think about what that does to the trainer who's standing in that classroom. The trainer no longer is that sage on a stage. They're no longer this show person. They're actually intimately involved in sharing knowledge back and forth to the students. And guess what? It may take them in ways that they didn't expect. There may not be training materials on it. But those are important discussions for adults to have, because adults have learning biases. It is impossible to create a training course that covers every single learner's need, period. Which is, of course, why I have the footprints throughout this thing, because I know each and every one of you listening are different, and you have different needs. You'll have to take your own path through learning this content. Okay? So what do? You take the content from everyone. We have to think differently if we're going to flip our class. Well, maybe we also should start flipping our design methodologies, the way that we think about those. How many times now do we say, oh, I have a curriculum developer, or I have a learning, or I have a trainer, they're developing the class? Why? How many of you can think of projects or people in your own organization where if you say, hey, you want to know about X, go get so-and-so's email folder, or so-and-so has a SharePoint site set up, or so-and-so has a web page set up. If you want to know how to do this, these are the best people to go ask. Well, wait a minute, why didn't that make your training class? If these are the go-to people, okay? So maybe what we need to think about is giving content creation tools to everyone. Now, a lot of those rabbit tracks that I've been giving you have been going to Wikipedia. So here's the point. People say, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Wikipedia and say this out loud, Wikipedia was an encyclopedia that was created by people sharing their own insights. They took their own time. They got no money for it. They came on and provided expertise that filled out Wikipedia. And the research is dramatic. They actually have compared the accuracy of Wikipedia to the Encyclopedia Britannica. And by the way, Encyclopedia Britannica has recognized subject matter experts that are paid for their contribution. Okay? In comparison, the error rate in Encyclopedia Britannica and the error rate of Wikipedia were almost identical. Each had its own errors, okay? Each had its own errors, but guess what? Wikipedia is updated instantaneously. When things change, when errors occur, they can make those almost instantaneously. What are you doing with your training materials? Are you giving people means of creating their own so that you don't have to create it all? Oh, wait, that actually might improve speed. Okay. So when I say everyone, I really mean everyone. You should give tools to everyone, and you should be looking for content from everyone. You should be looking for content certainly for all your employees in your organization. But guess what? You should also be looking for content from your vendors. There's a tremendous amount of resources out there. If you're implementing an Oracle product, there's a tremendous amount of resources out there available from Oracle. They want you to be successful. Okay? We want you to be successful. We give you webinars. We've got content on our website. Go out, take a look at it. Look at other consultants. When I say other consultants, you might meet people in your just day-to-day, pick them up. Might be on projects where there's multiple consulting organizations, pick them up. Go to conferences. That's a great source of stuff. Partners. Go talk to them about what's the best practices for any particular thing. Look at your competitors. What are they doing that's different from everyone? And oh, by the way, don't forget looking at the world. We talked about this Creative Commons license that allows us to do this. You may find whole training courses available to you as an organization that have been licensed under Creative Commons. And in fact, that's a hint. That's an out loud hint. There are tremendously valuable Oracle training courses. And I'll give you a hint for one to know. There's an Oracle RAC database course that's about a 2-day long course that is free. Okay, it is free. RAC is Oracle's Real Application Clusters. It's one of the most sophisticated technologies that Oracle has. And they have a free course available on it, and it works. Okay? So go take a look. And if for some reason you can't find it, send me an email later. But I'll also say that there are associations. In the learning arena, there's associations like ASTD, which is actually now, you'll find it by ASTD, but they just changed the name to ATD. So a lot of folks don't know that. ISPI is the International Society for Performance Improvement, e-learning guild, work learning, that's Dr. Thalhammer's site. Go take a look at these folks. Valuable resources. Okay, so when I said the world, I certainly said, well, there's this Creative Commons license you need to go learn about. Also, there's some great websites that offer low-cost content, videos, icons, music. So you go there. If you want licensed content from Oracle for their UPK tool, they have UPK content libraries. And certainly the associations have a number of things that you can get a hold of, so go take a look at that. But we've been talking around technical training. We're talking about how we will design this. You can't go into this in any depth, but I wanted to provide it as a checklist for you to consider. This was from Dr. Ruth Clark. She has a great book. I would encourage you to go pick it up called Developing Technical Training. And what she said was you can take technical training and you can break it up into essentially 5 buckets. You can say, whether are you trying to get people to do facts? Are you trying to remember concepts, processes, procedures, or principles? Okay? Obviously, facts are all about memory, just remembering the facts. There's no application of facts. You don't say, hey, Bill Sawyer, you're 6'3". You don't apply 6'3" as a fact, okay? All the rest of them do have applications, and there are research-driven things that you should do. So when you tear apart what does your end user need to be able to do their job, you can tear apart the analysis of what do they need to do, and it can come across this way. So that's the link to her book. It's a 2007 edition. I hear she's actually updating it. I'm going to be looking for the new edition of that. Also, if you want to get in more depth, some other things, some other rabbit holes that you can go down to. You may have heard of Bloom's taxonomy, Gagne's conditions of learning, majors, preparing instructional objectives is a very common one that people have. So there you go. There's some additional places for you to go down. Now I'm going to stop for a moment, and I want you to put on your thinking hat. How many of you, and of course I can't see hands, I can't see eyes, okay, except people in the room with me, okay? How many of you remember the story that I told from the first thing about the shoe salesman, okay? And if you had to retell that story, you could probably come pretty close, right? Tell me one bullet from one slide. Can you do it? Okay? Now, you can tell me a complex story that maybe took a minute, 2 minutes to tell, and you could probably tell it very close to the way that I told it. And you could certainly get across the learning objectives, okay? But you went through all kinds of slides, and you can't tell me a single bullet, and that's not uncommon. I bet if I asked you, you could probably even tell me a few of the images. Some of you may remember the clock. Some of you may remember the headless goose, okay? You probably remember maybe the speedy airplane, okay? Ooh, okay? Folks, this is how we remember as humans. We remember stories. That's actually how we learn, okay? So, if you want your learners to actually do this, tell them stories. Now, there's a different way. Obviously, you're not going to tell everyone a story about shoe salespeople. It doesn't work. Okay? Contextually, stories are also important. Okay? But there are ways to tell business stories. Find them. Okay? Those are going to be your most powerful ways. And when possible, wrap your labs, wrap the things that your students are doing into stories. Here's what you're going to do. Oh, you've gotten to the end of the month, and the end of the month processing is late. The CFO is calling, and oh, what are you going to do? And if you wrap that kind of story into this, then the steps that they're going to have to do to resolve that particular problem are going to generally be better remembered by that learner. Stories and images are powerful. Okay? So, we don't really have much in the way of Q&A capabilities. I don't know, Beth is on the line. Beth, I don't know if you have the ability to open this up for questions or whether there's stuff that came across in the Q&A. But I think, so can we open it up, Beth, or does it just come across in chat?
Yep, nope, lines are open for questions, and you can also ask them via chat or the Q&A section.
Great. So if anyone has anything on the line, go ahead and speak up. And if anybody's just a little bit shy, I don't know, I don't have the chat window open right now, but I don't know if there's anything on the chat. We'll wait just a moment or two. Well, what I'm going to do then is go ahead. Was there someone coming on? Oh, yeah. So here's what I'm going to do. I know this is a lot of information with a lot of stuff for you guys to go down through. So here's what I'll start with. This is my contact information. There's my email. There's our website. Okay? You want to know more, feel free to reach out to me. Okay? And here's one of the things I'm going to do for everyone that signed up to attend this course. In addition to all the material that I provided today, okay, I'm going to provide a copy within the next couple of days to the people that are signed up on the for the webinar. And your email address is right. That's the only way that I have to get out to you. I'm going to send a copy of our training needs assessment template, which is another tool that you can get. All right, just an additional add-on to what value we've already tried to provide for today. If for some reason you don't see that come through in your email, or you didn't have the correct email registered in it, go ahead and send me an email address, directly to that, bill.sawyer@highstreetit.com, and I'll be happy to send it out to you. Okay, it'll be getting out in the next couple of days. All right, with that, I'd like to thank everyone for attending today. And again, my email is always open. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day.